everyone and welcome back to Paint Together Studio. Today we are painting the FIFA World Cup trophy in watercolor. At first, painting a golden object may seem very simple. We could just choose yellow and start painting. The golden effect comes from a contrast. We need bright yellow areas, rich warm tones, deep shadows, and a few very dark accents. When these values are placed next to each other, the surface begins to look shiny and reflective. So in this tutorial, I will show you how I build the gold gradually, how I create rich dark tones without depending too much on black, and how I use warm and cool colors together to give the trophy more dimension. We'll start with lemon yellow hue, then build the middle values with dark cadmium yellow. Burnt sienna will add warmth and depth, and for the deeper tones, I'll mix burnt sienna with ultramarine. For the green details at the base, I will use sap green, hooker's green light, and a little ultramarine. For the cast shadow, we will try something more colorful using dark cadmium yellow and dioxazine purple and a small amount of ivory black. Before we start, thank you so much for your support. I upload 45 plus art tutorials every month, and follow for more and watch the full tutorials on YouTube Paint Together Studio. Before we start painting, let's quickly look at the sketch. I begin with a simple pencil drawing, focusing mainly on the overall shape and proportions of the trophy. At this stage, keep your pencil lines light and don't worry about adding every small detail. Because once the basic shape looks right, I add a few more lines to show the important curves, sections, and change in form. The goal is not to outline the entire trophy heavily. Keep the pen strokes loose and selective. Add them only where they help describe the shape, direction, or structure of the trophy. If you prefer a softer traditional watercolor look, you can completely skip the pen lines and keep only the watercolor painting. Both approaches work, it simply depends on the style you want to create. I'm starting with a very light wash of lemon yellow hue. At this stage, I'm not thinking about details. My main focus is establishing the lightest golden areas of the trophy. So before painting a reflective object, try to identify three simple value groups: light, middle, and dark. For the first layer, we are concentrating mainly on the light values. My yellow mixture contains plenty of water, so the color remains transparent. This light wash will create brightness underneath the stronger colors we add later. I'm also not trying to create a perfectly even wash. A reflective object naturally contains changes in light, so some areas can stay very pale while others can receive slightly more pigment. The most important thing at this stage is to preserve the brightest areas. Once we cover the white paper with the darker paint, it becomes difficult to recover the natural brightness. So don't rush to fill every area. Sometimes leaving the paper untouched is an important part of watercolor painting. The trophy may look flat after this first wash, and that's completely normal. We are only creating the foundation. The form will develop as we add stronger values and the color variations. Once the lemon yellow hue is completely dry, I am adding dark cadmium yellow. The second yellow gives us a stronger middle value and begins to create the golden appearance. Instead of covering the entire first layer, I am adding this color only to selected areas. I want parts of the lighter yellow to remain visible underneath. When painting a curved, reflective surface, don't think of the light as simply coming from one side. Gold can reflect light from different directions, creating bright and dark shapes very close to each other. As I paint, I am looking at each area as a simple shape. Is it lighter or darker? Is it warm or cool? Does it need a soft transition or a sharper edge? This way of thinking makes a complicated subject much easier to paint. In some areas, I soften the edge slightly to create a gentle transition. In other areas, I keep the edge more defined to show a stronger reflection. Try to use a combination of both. If every edge is soft, the trophy can lose its structure. And if every edge is hard, the painting may look too rigid. At this point, I'm still keeping the color transparent. We have several more layers to add, so there's no need to create the final darkness yet. Now I'm introducing burnt sienna. This color immediately adds warmth and richness to the yellow layers. Yellow creates a brightness, but burnt sienna helps us move into the deeper golden tones. I am adding it selectively rather than covering every yellow area. Some parts need more warmth, while others should remain bright and fresh. Because the yellow underneath is already dry, the transparent burnt sienna creates a richer color relationship without completely hiding the previous layer. This is one of the advantages of watercolor glazing. We can build color visually through transparent layers rather than mixing everything on the palette. While painting, I like to move around different areas of the trophy instead of finishing one small section completely. This helps me compare the values across the entire painting. Every now and then, look at your painting from a distance. When we work too close to the paper, it's easy to become focused on small details. From a distance, check whether the trophy feels balanced. Are the highlights still bright? Do the middle values connect the forms? Are the darker areas beginning to create depth? At this stage, observation is more important than adding lots of details. are ready to develop the deeper shadows. For these areas, I am mixing burnt sienna with ultramarine. Together, these colors can create a beautiful range of rich, neutral dark tones. If I use more burnt sienna, the mixture remains warmer, and if I add more ultramarine, it becomes cooler and deeper. This gives us more control than using the same black mixture throughout the trophy. So I'm adding these dark values carefully because a small amount of dark paint can create a big visual change. One of the keys to painting shiny metal is contrast. A bright highlight can sit very close to a deep shadow, and this quick change in value helps create the feeling of a reflective surface. Now let's move to the green details at the bottom of the trophy. This color green area creates a nice contrast against all the warm yellows, oranges and browns in the upper section. For the first wash, I am using sap green with enough water to keep it light and transparent. Once that layer is completely dry, I am adding Hooker's green light for the second wash. I am leaving parts of the first green layer visible so the base has variation instead of one solid flat color. And for the deeper areas, I am adding a small amount of ultramarine to the green. And be careful when adding blue to your mixture. Start with a small amount and gradually increase it until you reach the value you need. This is a usual habit for any strong color. It's easier to slowly adjust a mixture than to correct it after adding too much pigment. Even though the green area is a smaller part of the painting, the same watercolor principles still apply. Start light, allow the layer to dry, and build the depth gradually. At this stage, most of our main colors are already in place. Now I'm looking at the painting as a whole and deciding which areas actually need more contrast. Some sections may need another transparent layer of dark cadmium yellow. Some warmer areas may need more burnt sienna, while the deepest section may need another touch of the burnt sienna and the ultramarine mixture. The important thing is not to darken everything equally. A strong painting needs a balance of light, middle and dark values. The light areas create brightness, the middle values describe the form, and the darkest accents provide a structure. If everything stays light, the painting may lack depth, and if everything becomes too dark, we lose the golden glow. I am also checking the edges. Some edges can stay clear and defined, while others can remain softer. Now let's work on the shadow underneath the trophy. For this painting, I am using a slightly different approach. Instead of making the entire shadow grey or black, I am introducing color. Because a reflective golden object can influence the colors around it. I am adding dark cadmium yellow to parts of the surrounding ground area. Directly underneath the trophy, I am introducing dioxazine purple. Purple creates a beautiful temperature contrast against the warm yellow and golden colors. I am keeping the purple controlled. The goal is not to create a bright purple shadow, but to use it as part of the shadow mixture. For the deepest area, directly under the trophy, I am adding a small amount of ivory black. The darkest shadow usually appears closer to the contact area where the object meets the surface. As the shadow moves further away, I allow it to become lighter and softer. This helps the trophy feel grounded on the surface instead of appearing too float. Notice that the shadow contains both warm and cool colors. This creates a more interesting result than using one flat dark mixture everywhere. And try to remember that shadows are not always grey or black. They can contain reflected colors from the object, the surface, and the surrounding light. Before adding more details, I like to look at the whole painting and describe what it actually needs. At this stage, it's easy to continue painting simply because we still have paint on the palette, but more detail doesn't always improve the artwork. I am strengthening only a few selected dark accents and checking the transitions around the brightest areas. The light section becomes more effective when they sit next to stronger middle and the dark values. This is why preserving the lighter areas from the beginning was so important. For a reflective object like the trophy, a few carefully placed accents can make a big difference. If you are painting along, look at your artwork from the distance before adding the final details. Maybe one area needs more contrast, or maybe another section is already working well and should be left untouched. Knowing when to stop is an important watercolor skill too. You don't need to paint every small shape perfectly. Focus first on the larger values and color relationships, and then gradually add the smaller details. I hope you enjoyed painting the FIFA World Cup trophy with me and learned something useful about creating golden and reflective surfaces in watercolor. And thank you so much for painting with me today. Keep practicing, keep experimenting with your colors and enjoy the process. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Happy painting!